if the wealthy paid their fair share.
For a documentary filmmaker, I do really well. I'm very blessed.
And the rich thought poverty was bad.
I do well.
They get rid of it.
What pure? There's nothing pure about capitalism.
And they know what's coming on Wall Street.
We're seeing the end of capitalism. And I say good riddance.
He is one of my favorite capitalists. Yeah, I want to give him a hug.
Hey, this is Alfonso Rachel with 20 Pound Sledge and PJTV Zone Nation, and you're listening to VLR.
You're listening to Saturday Night Cigar Lounge with Taylor, right here on Vigilant Liberty Radio.
And back here on Saturday Night Cigar Lounge, here on Vigilant Liberty Radio. I'm Taylor Millard. Dustin Hoyt is here, although his computer is resetting, right?
Yeah, no, luckily I'm surrounded by technology at the moment, so I just picked up the next device and plugged back in. So that's convenient. Now hopefully I'll get this back up in a second. I can
must be updating, right?
I guess. I mean, it's like this is a brand new computer, so I've been tinkering with it all weekend because craziness like this happens.
Fishy, there was no news. There was no news. So the breaking news is obvious that Bill Cassidy has beaten Mary Landrieu. Anybody shocked by that? Anyone? Yeah, I didn't think so.
Bueller.
Yeah. But yeah, so all right. Chad in the chat room made a comment. S.E. Cup could turn me Democrat. And when I asked him how so, he goes, how so? I'd listen to anything that woman had to say.
Huh. I feel you there.
He makes a good point.
Yeah, she's brilliant. I mean, she's absolutely brilliant. She's hilarious. I'm right there with you, man. She told me to vote blue. I would strongly consider it.
I don't know if I do that, but...
I said consider it.
Oh, Sean Venkman, what a genius tweet. At least Mary never has to take a business trip to Louisiana again. Yes, that's true. And what people don't realize is that Mary Landrieu, in her... when she registered to vote, it said that... she lived in her parents' basement.
Oh, goodness.
I kid you not. It said that she lived in her parents' basement. Sean Venkman again pointing at the genius of Sean Venkman. Sean, come back. Bring Real Deal Talk Radio back. Leftists in 2005. We must rebuild the amazing state of Louisiana. Leftists in 2014. He links to a tweet by David Roberts at Dr. Grist, which says, "Remind me again why people want to live in Louisiana."
Oh, goodness.
Oops. Sean Venkman is a genius. Sean Venkman you should follow him at Mr. Fopal. That's at Mr. Fopal. You should follow him.
I have to do that.
Yes. And to answer the other question that you had for me, Dustin, yes.
Okay.
So, yeah. Apparently, one person was arrested in Denver tonight doing protests He apparently tried to disrupt the parade of lights and got arrested.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Oops.
Oops.
Yeah. That, look, here's the funny thing. I have no problem with protests. I have no problem with protests. I have no problem with people yelling and screaming all they want, marching. That's fine. Just don't do something stupid. And don't, loot at all. What do you think, Dustin?
No, I mean, I agree completely. The looting is insane, and all it does is hurt the cause. I mean, it blows my mind that people try to justify it and say, oh, well, don't be too violent, and getting finicky about the civilians volunteering to protect businesses because the military and police in the area weren't doing it in Ferguson. And they're like, oh, well, we want you guys out of here. I don't understand any of that. I mean, I guess the state wants to be in control or something, but I don't understand. I mean, it's like, I don't agree with something politically, so I'm going to steal a television. It doesn't help anything, ever. I mean, it's the epitome of self-deprecation for your cause. I mean, your cause is all but ruined when you start doing something like looting. Yeah. And the only reason that Ferguson wasn't completely brushed over and forgotten is because of what happened in New York and in Cleveland.
Yeah. And of all of these, Cleveland's the worst. I really do think Cleveland is the worst.
I agree. That watching that video, it was hard to watch. I mean, especially when you hear the 911 call before that, where the complainant says it's probably a fake gun, but he's scaring people, and then the officer shows up, jumps right out of the car, and unloads 3 or 4 rounds into that 12-year-old boy. I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong, but aren't police cars, don't they have bulletproof windows? Or at least, I mean, I thought they did, and if not, you would still wonder why they wouldn't be far away and use the loudspeaker, the bullhorn in their grill, because I know police have bullhorns built into their cruisers. I don't understand why they wouldn't use that. Tell him to toss the gun away.
Yeah,
because he's a 12-year-old kid. He's gonna mess his pants and throw the gun away.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and here's the thing. This is what I can't figure out. Is the police report says that, and by the way, police cars do not have bulletproof windows.
I see that. Thank you. I see that.
But here's what I can't figure out. All right, so the police report says that the kid pointed the gun at the officers, or I think that's what the police chief said or something.
I mean, from the video, it looks like he's taking cover behind the table and pointing the gun.
If you look at the video, the kid never pointed it at them. He was like, he knew he was in trouble. It looked like he was like, oh, crap.
Yeah, and then he died. Or got shot.
And then he died because the cop got out and shot him. It's just, I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, how many years have we had toy guns? I mean, back in the Howdy Doody days, you would have kids running around with a 6-shooter on their hip, and it wasn't a problem.
Back in the Howdy Doody days, try in the 80s. I mean,
too. I mean, I'm just saying.
When I was at my grandparents' house, I was able to run around with a 1911, a fake 1911.
Right, exactly, and it raises all sorts of questions, and that's why police training has become an issue now, because when you look at it as an issue, if the officers are finding more and more justification for deadly force in the safest time in American history to be a police officer, there's clearly a problem.
Yeah.
And I know one of the big things that's come out is a larger number of white people were shot by police officers than black people. I think that when you look at statistics like that, when you're talking about this issue, you're missing the point. It's not about, high numbers of black people are being killed by police. It's kids with guns with toy guns in the park are being shot. People that are standing on the street corner saying I'm doing nothing wrong are being choked, and then when they say I can't breathe, they're being choked to death. That's the problem. It's got nothing to do necessarily with disproportion by race in that aspect, if we're just focusing on the use of deadly force. And you can, of course, bring up, police are more likely to stop a black person in certain situations than white people, and are more likely to suspect them than white people. We can talk about that. But I think that none of that is as paramount as making sure that they're not justifying deadly force in more instances on individuals.
Yeah.
Because then it won't matter if they're stopping more black people, and that's something we can address. But I think it's more important that they're not killing suspects for more reasons.
Unless they're in an actual, situation where...
Right, exactly.
They're in a deadly force situation.
Exactly, and that's why most people, they look at the Michael Brown situation, they're like, well, this guy probably had a good reason to use deadly force. That's why a lot of people are, it's hard for them to get on board with that, and that makes sense. I mean, I stayed out of the Michael Brown thing for the most part. I just talked about the looting. Because to me, if a guy is trying to hit an officer, well, you done goofed in that situation. You don't get to swing at an officer. You don't get to use their door as a weapon against them. You don't get to do that. You don't even get to run at an officer. So,
yeah,
that situation, I mean, that's why the protests and everything, I wasn't in league with them or supportive of them at all. But
I was fine with the protests. I wasn't happy with the looting. Now, one of the things that Fishy pointed out is that before everybody started talking about South Dakota football for whatever reason, Chad. Fishy pointed out that rioters are remora for protesters. And she's right to a certain extent. I think that that's definitely true. But I also think that you do have people out there who, are willing to just kind of, do their own thing. As long as you're not looting, you can protest all you want. Or not trying to be stupid and block a freeway. That's just, I can't. What do you think about that? About these protesters in Chicago and here in Dallas who have blocked freeways?
I mean, it's clearly civil disobedience. I mean, I understand why they would arrest them for blocking roadways, and I understand why that's an issue. I think blocking streets to get more attention is not helping it's not helping, I don't believe, because it crosses into what is criminal. But at the same time, I understand why it's happening. I understand that, if you've got several thousand people walking in a direction, the sidewalks are probably not big enough, if we're being serious.
Well, I'm talking freeways. I'm not talking...
Oh, you're just talking... Okay.
I'm talking freeways.
Yeah, no, that's ridiculous. There's no reason for people to be blocking the freeway. And that's why I like that video. I believe IJ Review posted it up not too long ago. The dad that was trying to get to work, and he's afraid he's going to lose his job, so he gets out of his car and starts letting the protesters have it for blocking off the freeway. It's craziness. And good on that dad for getting out and telling them, you're not helping anybody. I got to get to work. You're hurting all of us, and we didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah. I understand the entire, when it comes to Boston Randy in the chat room. 15 minutes away from another 2020 update on your sports leader, VLR. It's funny. I wanted to do a hockey show before the season started, and a hockey show on Saturday Night Cigar Lounge, and I couldn't find anyone to be on it. It sucked.
Hockey is a sport I wish I kept up with more. I played roller hockey as a kid, and we played street hockey, and that was a lot of fun. I enjoy the sport.
Hockey is my favorite sport.
I enjoy the sport. It's a good sport. It's a tough sport. I like it.
Except for I have to admit, on Thursday, though, instead of watching the Stars-Red Wings game, I watched the Cowboys game because I was like, okay, I think the Cowboys have a better shot at winning. Even though I thought they were going to lose, It's like the Cowboys typically have a better shot at winning. So
I'm a